Alright, so in today's video, I got the Platinum Trophy on a game called It Takes Two, from the same studio that made A Way Out and recently Split Fiction. Dare I say, all bangers. But today, in order to get the Platinum on It Takes Two, you traditionally need another person because it's an entirely co-op game, and even though the voices are prevalent, they cannot control another controller. So I was joined today by a real-life woman, my girl. Yes, she somehow managed to survive the Platinum of this game and not want to kill me after. At least I think so. But It Takes Two contains a total of only 21 trophies, including the Platinum. Most of them are missable, but if you follow a super good guide like this one from Maka, it makes it very easy to complete. So without further ado, let's begin the grind of It Takes Two's Platinum Trophy. The game kicks off with the intro to the real main characters of the game in general, that being Cody, the husband, May, the wife, and Rose, their daughter. We then go on to find out that essentially there's just some family problems within the family. You know, that's kind of how that goes. But basically, Cody and May are getting a divorce because they have issues and aren't willing to work them out. Giving up is the last answer. How disappointing. And they literally tell Rose this to her face, so she's heartbroken because she's too young to really understand what this means, and she thinks it's all her fault, which in turn causes her to go run away and hide, and she ends up casting a spell or making a wish. And because of this, it caused both Cody and May to transform into dolls, and they basically cannot become human again until they resolve their issues with each other. This is the most advanced couples therapy since the movie Miss Doubtfire, and that's on God. But today, if you were wondering, I did play as Cody and she played as May. Mostly because it would be odd if I cosplayed as a girl. We already aren't meeting the allegations. But this first part had us just get introduced to the Book of Love, which is this Mexican dude that is essentially our therapist, and both May and Cody are extremely confused as to what's happening. He also says to us that we need to get her tears in order to become human again, which sounds very dark if you think about it, but then again, a talking book is giving us directions on how to not be dolls anymore, so anything goes today. And the first puzzle or objective we had to do was chase down some batteries and fuses to power up this staircase that is apparently a fancy electric one. I'm not sure why the hell anyone needs an electric staircase, but I guess that would make the divorce more interesting. This also introduced us to what It Takes Two's gameplay primarily is: puzzles. And I'm just gonna say it now, I am an idiot, and only 10 minutes into this game, we got stuck almost immediately on a stupid parkour jump, needing you to literally just grab onto a wall and let it spin you up to the next platform. Today is gonna be a long day, oh my god. Anyways, after that, we just continued on. My girl was also, struggling a bit. No offense, but that Roblox parkour might not translate. She's gonna hate me after this. Oh, shit. But just like the game A Way Out that I made a video on a few months ago, this one also features a lot of parts where you both have to work together, hence the game's name. It Takes Two. But we would then end up getting all the fuses we needed to power the staircase and got launched up to near Rose. But that damn Book of Love ended up cock-blocking us and wouldn't let us get to Rose quite yet because no lessons had been learned, seeing as that only took like 20 minutes to do. And he also brought out the vacuum that you use to clean the house, and it was very angry because apparently vacuums don't like sucking up dust, which is their entire purpose, so it quite literally contradicts their existence. This game is so unrealistic, bro. But the next part of this game had us climbing up the vacuum and trying to get to it because the Mexican love book therapist told us to. And in order to do that, we had to do a lot more teamwork based parkour with vacuum tubes that shoot out air, and only one of you could usually go at a time with the other helping. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually like doing the teamwork parkour, at least for the most part, when I knew what to do. When we both were confused, however, and died over and over, it was not fun. Not fun at all. But once we did reach the ending of the parkour, we got to do the first boss battle of the game's entirety, being against the evil vacuum, of course. And this is also the end of the cycle this game's gameplay follows. You usually do a ton of parkour leading into a boss fight, then some lore, usually with a cutscene, and then resets in a new area or theme. Before that though, the boss fight was very fun, and every boss fight in this game is generally good for the most part. But in order to do damage against the vacuum boss, you had to have one person suck up all of these objects on fire, then the other had to simultaneously aim the exit chute at the vacuum to do damage. And you just repeat that while dodging his attacks over and over until winning. Upon draining his health, you then do the final blow, and it's by sucking his eyes out of his eyes, which was insanely graphic for such a friendly looking game, and I love it. The vacuum then blew up, which means not only are we getting a divorce, but we are also going to need a new vacuum, and probably two of them. Oh my god! You then reach Rose again, but she couldn't hear us because we are dolls and don't have real voices. However, a hammer could, and we would then meet a talking hammer that needed a new handle. Cody also found a magic nail, and this next area of the game had May with a magic hammer and Cody his nail, using both to parkour throughout the very dangerous garage that we are in. We also played the first minigame we could find, and it was a version of Whack-A-Mole. I also did get completely destroyed, which is fine because I had the harder version of it. I can't believe I lost. What the fuck? This is my job. Anyways, doing this area's parkour was again a bit harder, but not really. It was just different compared to the previous area, and that's kind of how the entire game feels. Nothing is ever that much harder, just different. But the boss fight after all of that parkour was against an evil toolbox, and this fight was substantially more difficult than the vacuum one, and that's mostly because his attacks were super unruly and very hard to dodge without being smacked. We would also find out that if both of us died at the same time, it would make us completely fail the fight and have to restart, which is tragic. But it ultimately ended with me getting blasted in the air and nailing this propane can or something on top of the toolbox, which led to it blowing up and us winning. We also retrieved the hammer's handle and all the tools were super happy. So the saw then helped us get launched back to Rose, and she again could not hear us. But the Mexican Book of Love could and cockblocked us once more. Fucking therapist, I swear to God. There was then a very long rail grind section, and those two are fun in real life, so this was also a blast. At least for me, that is. No comment as to what player 2 is doing over there. Dude, I'm so cooked, fuck. Anyways, that led to the attic of the garage, which also had binoculars just positioned right at the house. Kind of odd, but okay. And we would end up seeing that Cody and May are both just asleep in real life. Or tweaking heavily on drugs. Probably the second one. Anyways, we then just climbed up this big tree to try and find a way to glide into the house or just make it there in general. But on the way up, we got captured by the army of squirrels, and they were low-key scary compared to us just being dolls. Thankfully, though, the military squirrels didn't want to kill us and instead just sent us on a mission to go take out the Wasp Queen. Because, let's be honest, nobody likes fucking wasps. What do they even contribute to the world besides pain? Absolutely evil. Before that, though, I flexed the PSN account to the hubs, which is all I have to offer in terms of swag. So moving on, the next area of the game had us slowly making it to the Wasp Queen, with Cody and May getting a new set of tools relating to Wasp things like a honey gun for Cody and just an actual gun for May. But on the way through, we also reached the first missable trophy of the game, which is done by putting one of the players in this torture chamber and the other pressing buttons to do various forms of torture. Actually, an insane trophy if you think about it. But the lady also proceeded to torture me after the trophy popped, so I don't know what kind of message that's sending, but okay dude, I get it. And for the sake of this video not being an hour long of me talking about every parkour jump, I'm just gonna mention the trophies and what's happening in general within the game story. So in the Wasp arc, you could say we kind of just moved through it more, although there was a lot more combat with the Wasp bugs in general, so that's fun, instead of just parkour the entire time. We eventually did fight a sort of boss called the Mortar Wasp, who was just a bigger and stronger one that takes a lot more effort to kill, but not really a boss because that wasn't even close to the end of the Wasp section. After that though, we did reach another trophy, and it was just from taking a picture of each other with this camera that is here for some unknown reason. Right after though, there was a very cool slide section that had us sliding down and away from an army of enemies that wanted to tickle our butts. And that eventually led us down into an arena ran by the Wasp, forcing us to fight against a giant beetle that was also captured and thrown in here. Again, I say, they serve no purpose besides just being evil creatures of pain and agony. The beetle fight, however, wasn't too hard and had very simple methods to do damage. Ultimately, you end up not killing him and instead teaming up against the Wasp, because his only want and need in life is nectar, and we promised we would give him all of their nectar if he helped us. So then the beetle flew us, or I flew us, away as we were chased. That is until we reached the big home nest and he got shot down. Rest in peace, beetle. You will probably not be missed. I'm not gonna lie, you're just a beetle. But anyways, we then fought the Queen Wasp, which just so happened to be a robot, and apparently no other wasp could see this, which is kind of crazy considering it's very fucking obvious. After beating the Queen Wasp though, in the fight you unmask her and find out it's actually a big fluffy bumblebee running the entire Wasp colony. What a damn plot twist. But then we met up with the squirrels again, and the Wasp war was still going on, so we just hitched a ride on a plane and flew out of the tree quite literally. However, right before making it clear, the lead squirrel landed on us, and May had to hand-on-hand combat fight the damn squirrel, which was actually super cool and I assume a lot of fun for the lady to do. After winning though, we continued on and made it back to the house with a clean cutscene transition into another lore cutscene, in which it showed Rose trying to play with her parents and getting no response, which made her feel as if we were just ignoring her and not completely drugged out of our minds, literally. But then you got to play again, and we ended up in Rose's room this time, also finding another trophy opportunity, and it was from none other than an A Way Out Easter egg, which I absolutely love. Great game, and here's a trophy pop. There was then a very long and kind of confusing story arc with this stuffed monkey that Rose had, who was convinced he needed to protect her and also lived in space. So the game then goes to like a space world, which is kind of odd, but okay. There was also a few trophies here though, which is a W. And the first one was from me shrinking down to micro penis level and having Lady here jump on the seesaw and launching me up into orbit to die. Absolute cinema trophy right there. The next one, however, was much more bland and just had you scan throughout the space sky to get different radio messages from Rose and stuff, so that's lame, but here it is anyways. There was then a boss fight against Moon Baboon, who is the stuffed monkey that is Rose's guardian angel, self-assigned, might I add. And it was a pretty fun fight, ending off with us doing a sort of eagle-eye UFO attacking hunting thing, which is cool. But then it ended as all good things do, and we were back in reality, at least the reality of doll life, in Rose's room once more. And there was another trophy here from winding back this car and letting it go with the correct amount of speed to go in a target, and the trophy popped after. Later on in Rose's room still, we also reached her piggy bank and put like 3 gold coins coins inside of it, then broke it open and another trophy popped. Quite a while later, we then ended up still in Rose's room, I think, or at least one of her playrooms of sorts, but we had to control these dinosaurs and do some puzzles with them, and you can get a trophy from just eating these small dinosaurs, so that's fun. We also ended up doing a sort of naval combat thing, which was a lot of fun also, and that ended with us battling a giant pink octopussy to make the night end off good. Finally, however, we would end up in the first sort of village within the game's world that had somewhat real citizens inside of it, and it was in this sort of medieval town, but they also had a train which I hopped onto for another trophy pop, and there was also a trophy right by this from jumping into this printer and becoming Flat Stanley, so here's that as well. Anyways, we then had to break down the castle's door to try and progress the level more, but ultimately we got caught and someone said we wanted to kill the queen, who is Rose if I can remember in their eyes, which in turn sent us to jail. And once we broke out, the game then gave us some wizard powers and we began this eagle-eye view gameplay part that is low-key my most favorite part of the entire game, and that's because it's almost entirely just combat with amazing gameplay mechanics and actually a lot of fun. I fucking wish the entire game was like this, I'm not gonna lie. But we were also trying to escape the castle, which is why we have powers and combat if you were wondering. And after doing a ton of combat, we would fight the king and queen chess pieces on a chessboard, which is sort of the final encounter before going through this elephant door to reach the queen, who was actually a stuffed elephant and not Rose. My apologies, I got lost in this game's complex story. And the reason we need to kill the stuffed elephant, if you were wondering, is because we assumed that would make Rose cry since it's her favorite stuffed animal. Maybe these two do need a divorce. What kind of parenting is this? Oh my god. And to kill her, if you were wondering, we had to drag the thing to the edge, and on the way through its own struggle, it ripped off multiple of its body parts, and it was actually graphic. I couldn't believe what I was seeing when it was happening, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, once the damage was done, Rose grabbed the stuffed elephant, and she did cry. I mean, fuck, we mutilated that poor thing, I would also. But even with the tears basking us in a sticky shower, we didn't become human again because those tears are the bad kind, and obviously that's not what we needed. The Mexican Book of Love would then go on to explain this and then send us off to yet again another new world. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know where this is, but I do also think the game kind of left reality to give us that good trip we were after. I did get a trophy here though in this village of sorts from finding a hidden away room, so that's cool, and another one from climbing a super tall and kind of difficult parkour tower. Raging was included. But this is also where me and the lady began to get kind of burned out from this game. Mostly because the game began to get quite confusing with what the hell the story was, and it eventually left reality completely to just take us to various memories that May and Cody shared in their marriage, to try and make them not want a divorce after all. But to be honest, this game is still great. They somehow managed to make a video game about someone getting a divorce fun, which is a crazy idea for a game. I can't even imagine that pitch to the studio in the creative room. Anyways, we were in this snowy area because it was the same place where Cody and May went on their first ski trip together, and I got a trophy almost right away from just making this poor citizen swing cause mass brain damage. We also gathered together a bunch of baby turtles for the mama turtle. I don't know exactly why, but it's still a trophy. Still in the winter area though, I got another trophy from just fishing and giving it to a seal to eat. Then from opening this ship's treasure chest and getting that glorious booty. After the winter ski trip flashback, however, we got sent to reality and we ended up inside of Cody's garden, which was completely overgrown. And we had numerous boss fights against massive plants, which reminded me so much of Plants vs. Zombies. But after the burrower boss fight, I went a little bit forward and found a spa area, which was another trophy pop. Unfortunately though, after that, my internet then went out, and it's still out as I'm making this video. It Takes Two killed my internet. I'm gonna fucking crash out. But there was then only 2 more trophies to get in this game, and seeing as it's an offline game, I was still able to get the platinum, so that's a W. But we also made sure to speed through the ending just in case it crashed and I lost my save, because I was using cloud saving most of the time, which is, you know, probably an issue. But there was a super odd story arc that led us to this like music heaven or something. I honestly have no idea what the ending of this game is. It was very odd. But I got the last trophy right here from just meditating. Low-key need that after this game's platinum. Anyways, then the game ended off with a sort of concert May and Cody ran, and them ultimately kissing for the first time since their wedding day, which I guess also turned them back into humans, so I don't know why the fuck we had this whole making Rose cry thing. Just evil, man. But the ending of this game just had cutscenes and showed that Rose left a letter saying she was leaving because she thinks it's her fault that the two are so unhappy, which is probably true. I'm just kidding, that's a joke. So she walked off to the bus stop, and I gotta say it, this girl looks like she's soulless. Like legit, is there a thought in that mind? I'm not sure. Anyways, Cody and May ran off to find her, which they did, and then they allegedly got the family back together. So here's that final trophy from beating the story, and I give their marriage another 8 months before they divorce again. But unfortunately, we did miss like 4 minigames at the start because I was unaware that they were needed for the platinum before checking the guide while playing a little bit. So we had to chapter select and find the missing ones, but it only took like 20 more minutes, so it's all good, and here's that final trophy with the platinum trophy popping. So that was the It Takes Two platinum trophy experience. I want to say a huge thanks to her for helping and not crashing out at me for making her platinum this game. She wanted to, I swear. But overall, It Takes Two is a very fun and good game. I'm not sure what the hell that final part of it was. I think they might have ran out of ideas, to be honest, but still good game. I'd give it probably a 7 out of 10, and that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and once my internet is back on, I got some bangers coming on the way, so fuck you, Spectrum Internet.